The moment they touched the treasure, the ground beneath them groaned, a deep, rumbling sound that vibrated through the stone floor. The heavy doors slammed shut with a thunderous crash that seemed to shake the very foundation of the castle. The air grew thick with an unnatural tension, and for a split second, all was silent. Then the walls seemed to breathe. Without warning, hidden mechanisms sprang to life. Poisonous darts shot from concealed holes in the walls, whistling through the air with deadly precision. The children scattered, ducking and weaving as the darts pierced the spaces where they just stood. The smell of the venomous toxins filled their nostrils, sharp and bitter. They could hear the deadly hiss of the darts as they embedded themselves in the walls, more waiting to be released. A cold wind swept across the room, carrying with it the stench of decay, and the floor beneath them seemed to shift. From the depths of the stone, jagged spikes shot up with a deafening clang, slashing through the air like vengeful claws. The children backed away in horror, their eyes wide with panic as the spikes thrust upward, narrowly missing their feet. Each step felt like a race against time. Then, with a sickening sound, the floor groaned. Pits yawned open beneath their feet, revealing black, bottomless abysses. A low, mocking laugh echoed from the walls, as if the castle itself reveled in their desperation. There was no way out. Every path, every exit, had sealed itself shut. A dreadful, hollow voice reverberated through the room, shaking them to their bones. Only those who solve the code may leave unscathed. The children stood frozen, hearts hammering in their chests, sweat beading on their skin. The walls seemed to close in on them, the air thick with fear. The clock was ticking. They had only moments, perhaps less, to solve the riddle and escape. But how? Desperation clawed at their minds as they turned, frantic, to the floor. Ancient symbols stretched across the stone, their meaning just out of reach. The markings danced mockingly before their eyes. Pete, his breathing shallow, squinted at the symbols, trying to push through the fog of terror. He remembered the riddle, the cryptic words of the dragon. His mind raced. The code, it was the numbers, the sequence. 5-9-3-1, Pete muttered, his voice barely audible over the deafening silence. Ronnie, her hands trembling violently, knelt down, her fingers brushing the stone surface. She stepped forward, her movements jerky, as if the very air was pushing back against her. She hesitated, glancing at her friends, then pressed her shaking fingers into the stone, one number at a time. Each press felt like an eternity. The last number, a whisper of hope, was entered. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. The traps, the darts, the spikes, they all remained poised to strike, to consume them in an instant. The children froze, breath caught in their throats, praying for mercy. Then, with a deep, resonating click, the air shifted. The traps halted mid-action. The darts stopped. The spikes receded into the floor. The ground, once trembling with the weight of death, stilled. The doors creaked, groaned, and then slowly, agonizingly, began to open. They had made it. But it wasn't over. A chill swept through the room, far colder than any they'd felt before. The dragon's ghost appeared one final time, its translucent form looming in front of them like a shadow of doom. The air thickened with an icy dread. Its eyes, unblinking, filled with sorrow, locked onto them. "Leave now," the dragon's voice echoed, hollow and mournful, reverberating in their minds. "Take nothing but your lives, or you will join me in eternal rest. Forever." The warning cut through their bones like ice. For a moment, they all stood there, paralyzed by its power. They had the treasure, the riches, the prize they had come for. But the cost of taking it, was too great. They stood at the threshold, the doors cracked open, the mist swirling beyond. The treasure gleamed in the dim light, its beauty almost hypnotic. But the words of the dragon rang louder.